pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have roll call, please.
Mr. Volran?
Here.
Mr. Blanton?
Here.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Can I have a motion for the acceptance of the minutes from April 2nd, 2025, regular meeting Board of Trustees? By regular meeting Board of Trustees.
Second.
Mr. Volran?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Also a motion for the acceptance of the minutes from April 3rd, 2025, special meeting of the Board of Trustees. I'll make a motion for the acceptance of the minutes of the April 3rd, 2025, special meeting of the Board of Trustees.
Second.
Mr. Volran?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Also a motion for the acceptance of the invoices.
Make a motion that we accept all invoices as presented by the fiscal officer.
Mr. Volran?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, we're going to go to public presentations and requests for the agenda. So we're going to do the range plan first.
Yeah, he's coming, but he's not here yet, so
Okay.
we've got Chris, teed up and ready to go.
Chris from Hamilton County, right? Chris, I'm sorry, I don't know your last Snyder. Snyder. All right. Yeah.
We do, yeah. You can get it on there just for, yeah, we have a PowerPoint. Thank you. For the record, my name is Chris Schneider. I'm the Planning Services Administrator with Hamilton County. I began working with the Miami Township Land Use Committee 6 months ago or so to look at and update the recommended land use plan for the township. Just a little background on what a land use plan is. Land use plan provides guidance on future development to occur in the county. It's not zoning, so this process doesn't change any of the underlying zoning. That remains the same. However, it's just if there is a future zoning amendment to the county zoning code for Miami Township, this would help guide those decisions that are being made. The Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission asks that the land use plan be updated every 5 years as part of their bylaws, and Miami Township is a little past that, so it was due for that 5-year update requirement. As I said, we've been working with the township land use committee over the last 6 months or so, and I want to say thank you to Trustee Robinson, Mr. Brett, for their leadership on that, as well as the other members, Mark Rosenberg, Katie Egan, Bob Poleski, Patrick Hagan, and John Cole, members of that land use committee. We met several times over that time period and had a lot of really good discussions, which resulted in a public open house on March 6th. We'll present some of the ideas and got input from the community and gave that input back to the land use committee for their consideration. There it is. If you hit number 2 there, it should be good.
Hold on, it left my screen again.
There,
Is it there?
yeah, let me go up to number 2.
I remember. Up to slideshow, right?
Yeah, from beginning to current slide.
What do you want me to do?
Up in the top left, there's from beginning. There we go, and on your screen, so you go all the way to the left again and hit that arrow one time. There we go. So the land use plan includes 2 elements, basically a map, which is the key element of the land use plan, a map of what the land use is for the township, but also text and addendum to help explain what the differences and changes are. So the proposed change includes an addendum 2 to the land use plan, which identifies an area summary on what those expected land use changes are over the next 5 years, so into the future. It identifies what the major land use changes have been over the last 5 years, so some residential development and commercial changes, And then some of these area strategies, including expansion of transitional mixed-use areas, recognizing parks and green space in the township, identifying where single-family residential and commercial development areas occur, and updating to reflect future residential growth. So I'm going to go through, there's not a lot of changes, but there are a couple of significant ones. So I'm going to go through each one of the recommended changes or the proposed changes and identify what's happening. So this is the Bridgetown Shady Lane area. You can see the corridor on the left is the existing land use plan as it existed for the last 4 or 5 years. The pink is retail neighborhood, and the peach color, if you will, is transitional mixed use. So major point of discussion has been looking at expanding that transitional mixed use along the Bridgetown corridor, so to the east, basically to where the golf course is, makes a natural kind of buffer point or transition point there, and then to the north towards dog track. So this is the big proposed change to the lanes. Next. And then we've got some relatively minor cleanup types of things. We've got the Miami Township West Community Park. There is additional land associated with that. So to the north of the existing park, as well as across the road, the land that is owned by the township. Just making sure it's identified appropriately in the land use. Next. Pickway area has seen significant growth over the last 5 years or so. The one on the left, you can see the yellow, just the small yellow portion there of the homes that were constructed when this was last adopted, just reflecting the residential growth in the Pickway area. So the new streets that you see on the right, as well as making sure that it's no longer a golf course, it's now HOA or green space and agriculture type use. So just making sure that land is identified appropriately. In the northeast corner along Whistleman, there's a rural residence classification, and so we're just proposing to change that to be more consistent with the single-family residential classification that is found in most of Miami Township. And then the last one is right there is just making sure that the great parks of Hamilton County, they own quite a bit of land in the township, making sure that the land that they've purchased over the last 5 years is shown appropriately as public and non-public institutional use. So those are the major changes that the land use committee came up with and are presenting tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions from trustees if that could be it. Mr. Moran.
I just want to thank Chris and his team. They're invaluable to be able to work with, have the institutional knowledge and experience to be able to guide us through that process. I want to thank everybody that it was part of the land use committee, because I think it was some lively, productive discussions, and without you kind of helping guide us and steering us in the right direction, that'd be difficult. So I think this was a healthy, good process to go through, and we're staying on a regular schedule going forward. But thank you to you and your team for getting us there. And I feel good about the proposals. Obviously, all 3 of us were here at the open house and had a chance to look at the maps and talk to Chris and his group. But if you guys have any thoughts, suggestions, things that you want changed, or feel free to speak up. But otherwise, make a motion to get out.
We do that.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have any questions about what our land use plan we just went over? Just want to make sure we have no questions.
I would like to quickly outline the process. What's next? So
sure.
We want a recommendation from the trustees that they're okay, or that they want to approve, or whatever the language you want to use. Ultimately, it will go to the next Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. They're the ones that ultimately approve or deny it. Must, having gone through this process, it'll be approved most likely, but they're the ones to keep up with it. And so the next step after tonight's meeting will be to go for the Regional Planning Commission for their final adoption.
I'll make a motion that we, at least whether we adopt or show that we don't have any objection.
Approve this one.
Approve, whether we approve, of the recommended changes, as presented, here tonight. And, hopes that the county, ultimately, approves the 5-year plan.
So this land use plan will run us to 2030 or 2031.
It's adopted now, so it would be 5 years from, 5 years from the adoption of the regional planning commission, which would probably be a month from now. So April of 2030.
Okay, sounds good. All right, I will second your motion.
Mr. Walrath?
Yeah.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right, Mr. Crossley from Hamilton County EMA. If you would.
So apologize, you want me to talk about Orange Hamilton County and integrating with Miami Township? Kind of a crazy week for flood and waiting for that. So I'm the county's director of emergency management and homeland security, so our office is over in Price Hill. I apologize, I've come here from the other direction from work. I've never come up the hill from down in Cleves, and I think my ears are still popping. That was impressive. So Hamilton County, if you remember, they were affected by the siren leak a while back. We use a system so that we can notify residents of a threat, generally speaking, life safety issue, or say we have a critical missing person or something like that. We can warn the public. So at the county level, we encourage residents to register for the system. And so basically, you just give us a basic name, address, phone number. You can register if you happen to be taking care of your elderly parent or child with special needs. You can put that stuff in there. It also links with Smart 911. If you've heard about that, Hamilton County's had that system for a few years. Cincinnati bought it after the unfortunate Kyle Plus situation. And so that allows you to put even a little bit more information for the dispatchers. So say you have medical concerns that you want the 911, if you want your fire department and EMS to know about, that can pop up for the dispatchers and they can tell the responders, okay, beware of, they have 2 dogs, make sure you get them out of the house. They have a heart condition, whatever it is you want to tell the system. That can all pop up and it stays up for a few minutes and then it goes away. It's not accessible otherwise. And so we can notify people who register for the system. We also load the landline database for Hamilton County, which is mostly for businesses at this point, although some of you may have a landline. I gave up mine a few years ago. We load all of those. There's probably about 300,000, give or take, in the county, 830,000 residents. And then the last part we do is we are the authorized agency to send the wireless emergency alerts. So if you get a tornado warning on your phone and it's just that pop-up, that's actually from the National Weather Service, but that's a clear example. We send those, we use that in the siren leak to notify the people around the leak that they either needed to shelter in place or they needed to evacuate. And then we put in there very clear, specific information. In that case, it was Whitewater Township Fire, asked that everybody evacuate a half-mile area from the intersection of whatever the two highways were. And we send those out and make sure that people get that. So we're the only ones who do that. So I've been talking to the leadership here since that event with Miami Township and Jim about partnering. So what that means is basically Hamilton County absorbs 99.9% of the cost of the system, which includes not only paying for the system as a whole, it's a countywide notification system that does text, email, voice, and wireless emergency alerts, but it also has Smart 911. And then we also maintain all the training for people on the system and make sure that we monitor and make sure that people are sending out good alerts. So there are science around good alerting of residents so they understand what they're doing or what they need to do in relation to the event they're being warned about. So it's ironic. There's a big event down on the main road by Cleves, down in Cleves. Lots of police and fire down there blocking the road. And so what we work with the local communities a lot, so we've been talking to the Miami Township, we cover all of Miami Township. It's a small fee, it's like $1,500 a year. We help them set up their brand, we help them set up their system, and then we train them and maintain that system with them throughout. And then so that way the fire chief and the local law enforcement, the local sheriff's rep, and the administrator, if there is anything from a water system issue to say a major intersection around here was going to be closed for a while, if there was a water main break that was going to take 8 hours to fix, something like that. For people who opt in, they can send a message out in a geolocated area, and addresses that fall within that, but registers and landlines would get that message. So basically, they're just trying to save you a little bit of pain. So you'll go left instead of right, so you avoid wherever the stoppage is. And then it's a partner with us. So we maintain sort of the high-level critical emergency portion of that. So, for example, the chief was part of the response to the siren leak. If something was going to impact other residents of Miami Township besides Cleves, or did impact Cleves, we will work with him to send that message for him so that he doesn't have to maintain. Again, we just went through the training. Actually, FEMA came in from DC today to do training for us on the best way to message people and how to manage that system. So we advanced, I think I quoted you $1,500, which is most people are paying back in the day, code red, $5,000 a year, $10,000 a year. So this way it integrates Miami Township with my agency. And just to give you some background, Hamilton County Emergency Management is a county-wide independent agency. So the Board of County Commissioners funds us along with federal grant that we get. And the Board of County Commissioners sits on our board, but we are a separate county-wide entity. And we are basically the emergency management coordinator for all communities in Hamilton County. And so we work with Chief on your local emergency operations plan for the township, any business continuity planning, any alert and warning systems. We do training and exercises with the fire department and our friends and fellow sheriff department, county sheriff department, to make sure that we're prepared for disaster in large-scale emergencies like this siren. So we practice for that probably 2 or 3 times a year, just for something. That's one of our major hazards. And so I think that's what you wanted to talk about. It's a great system. It's cost effective, and that's sort of our goal. The $1,500 a year, it's a small fee. It doesn't cover all the costs that we put into the system of maintaining it and making sure that the whole backbone is there. But it also allows Miami Township to maintain their own identity. So when you receive alert, that system, you'll either get it from Alert Hamilton County, which is us, and it'll say Hamilton County EMA, or you will get one from Alert Miami Township. And so you know it's from them, it's from your government leaders telling you there's an issue around you. Is that awesome? We're running thing to thing today, so it's great.
So our flood, we will be able to put an alert out to the residents that signed up that the park is closed. And
Yes.
the road is closed out there, and the river level is ridiculously high. The road, but we can. That's one example.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So that's, you'll get the flood warning from the National Weather Service if anybody lives down the hill. You'll get the flood warning. That's an automatic one that they send tornado warnings and flood warnings via the alert to your phone. Again, that's a great example. The local township, or you working with Jim, can say, okay, this road's going to be closed for a while. Let's put an alert out to the residents. We'll send them an email, send them a text, and you can even this is a trademark phrase, but reverse 911, they will call the phone number they put in the system. And that's both a home or cell phone. But that system is, just so you understand, is geolocated to the address that you enter in the system. So for example, in my Alert Hamilton County profile, I have 2000 Radcliffe, which is up in Price Hill, the Hillville Slush Puppy Factory, if anybody knows about that. We probably turn that into a 911 center. And then I live in the city of East Walnut Hills, so I have those 2 addresses. So if my address comes up under one of our alerts, like a tornado warning, so that's another key thing. There's 42 hazards you can sign up for that we send you, but like if your address comes under a tornado warning, the system will call and text you an email. In addition to the weird you're going to get. So if you're asleep, you're probably not going to sleep for much longer. So it really is a great system. And another reason I partner with leaders such as your elected leaders here and appointed leaders is we're trying to sell the system, but I don't have an advertising budget, so you can imagine. And so they help us get the word out, because at the end of the day, you're residents of Miami Township, but you're also residents of Hamilton County. I know that people I know, and I can joke this, so people outside the city understand that, sometimes the city doesn't understand it. But that way we have sort of the whole county coverage. And in the Styrian event, we cross 3 different communities and warn those people. And that's where we come into play because we can warn all those people. Miami Township, for the most part, can only warn Miami Township.
Great. All right, any questions for Mr. President? Mr. Moore?
Will this be linked in with the sheriff's department?
Yes, we work closely with the sheriff. Yes, we're working with their district patrols.
So if there's something going on in the area, a danger, they could give us a notice on our phone through the sheriff's department.
Yeah, so what they generally do is they call the dispatch center. Dispatch center calls my duty officer, and then we give them what do you want to send, and then we send them. That's what we do. So and that's why his was a great example. We just want to tell you about a road closure. I do macro, I don't do micro. So in the sense that I don't do road closure notification, that's great at the local community level. It's an emergency. Say they're searching for somebody, they need you to lock their doors. That's fair to admit. Starting to do more with missing and endangered persons. So that's sort of between the amber and the silver alert. You know, somebody gets out and they have cognitive issues, behavioral issues, whatever it is. We send those alerts out to people to try to, and when we make a decision, sometimes we go with just the opt-in system. So there's people who ask to receive these alerts because wireless emergency alerts. So people can get cranky sometimes when you wake them up. I'm being a little facetious, but so we don't want them to turn that on, right? So we're very judicious about when we send alert. But if somebody's life is in danger, and I'm talking to the local sheriff's rep, or if I'm talking to Matt, and he says, "I'm telling you, this is life-threatening," we will send the alert. And I told him, I said, "I'm going to refer questions to you, but I'm going to be standing right behind you." So I'm trying to be funny. So
Seems like a pretty important service that the county is offering at a very reasonable price. I'm not sure what your all's process is. Is there any reason why you guys just want to approve this tonight?
Well, we haven't even made a motion. We're just discussing.
He wants it.
You gotta give us a minute.
You guys are going to discuss it.
It's on our agenda.
If we approve it,
they just want me to come in and sort
So
of.
I'm not saying we wanted to explain it to the public before we address it on the record by the board. So any other questions? All right. Any discussion from the board?
Appreciate you coming out. I think it's fantastic, and I'm sure we'll bring it up for consideration tonight. But yeah, this is what we've just gone through with both the flood and the styrene leak. It's been right in the backyard. So
There's islands tonight.
and we saw what your capability was during the styrene leak. I mean that, and at the end of the day, smaller jurisdictions just don't have the capacity and the resources to do some of those things. And thanks for what you guys provided us.
Yeah, and I'll just add, we have 10 people trained, 11 with me, but I have 10 duty out. We have 2 people on call 24/7, 365, 366 in a week year. And so we train on this concept. All 10 people are trained. And so we've smoothed out the approval process. We have set criteria and standard operating procedure. And like I said, we do training today. So we understand the science behind messaging so that people understand what's the threat, where is the threat, who's telling me about it, and what do I need to do to protect myself. And then you can say seek shelter, then seek information. So that's sort of our key thing.
Do you have any other discussion?
Just one thing I'd like to add is, one of the things that I think is important from the local community standpoint is if we're putting out stuff that doesn't need to be put out, the county will still monitor what we're doing, and they can stop those, and they can call us and say, it's not what this is for. So that way the system doesn't get abused, because sometimes these systems can be overused. So we're going to have the training, they're going to have the oversight, so we don't have to worry about the future things being put out, like my neighbor's dog. That's not what it's for. But the flood.
And the great thing is, if somebody's out and I needed to send a road closure on behalf of, we have access to your brand, you would not have access to our brand. So we just don't want to get 49 communities, right? About half are signed up for the system. we don't want to get too far into the weeds. But we could do that so that in case there was staff turnover or something like that, if somebody wasn't trained, then we could cover it until they get trained. And so if you haven't gone to alerthc.org, that's where you can sign up for our warning system and also Smart 911.
And what is that address again, please?
Alerthc.org.
HC.org. Sounds great. All right, any other discussion from the board? We want to just go ahead and take care of this now? You want to go ahead and make a motion?
Sure, I would be proud to make a motion to adopt the proposed $1,500 contract and partner with Hamilton County EMA for the alert system.
Have a second.
All right, Mr. Walrick?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Ross?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Craig.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure. Supervisor. Librarian of Miami Township.
I feel like I always bring like 75 members whenever I come. Hello, everybody. Carrie Bernard. I'm the manager of the Miami Township Library in Cleves, Ohio. I just wanted to give you some updates just to make everyone aware. There will be more information coming. I printed out a few of the presentations so that it's very long. It was a very long presentation, but if you would like to look it over, those are available for you. If you would like your very own copy, I have a QR code here. And out in the vestibule area, that will take you right to the next generation page, and you can find out all of the nitty-gritty details and updates of all of the libraries, but most importantly, our favorite one, the Miami Township Library includes. On Thursday, April 3rd, we had a community engagement session, and the community was able to come in and talk about what they want to see about the new library. For those of you who do not know, the Cleves area is going to get a new location just down the road. It will be on South Miami Avenue, beyond Dennis George, beyond Tram and the town hall. There is a large lot of land that is now fenced in, and that is the future site of the new library. There is a board out just inside the doors. Feel free to do that if I put it in the way. That is my superpower. I am not an interior decorator. But there is a very basic floor plan. And we would love your input if you were not able to attend that meeting. It was a very important night. That was the same night of a meeting to tell about the very important Miami Township fire levy. So I know a lot of people had a lot of things on their plate that night. But there are Post-its out there, and feel free to give your input. I'd be happy to pick it up in a couple of days. I can leave it up in our branch for a little bit for people to continue to give their information. But they are going to begin architectural plans later this year, and the intention is to break ground in 2026. I don't know if any of you were aware in the news, the House, Ohio House, had presented a budget that threatened $14.5 million for our library system. They have since removed that proposal from it, but we do not know what will happen in the future. But as far as I've been told, I do not make the decisions, but the Miami Township Library budget was already allotted and accounted for, and so they are moving forward.
I was going to tell you, that's what they told me also.
Yes, yes,
Because I asked.
yes. I asked too. I asked a lot. So if anybody has any questions for me, or if there was anything specific that you would like for me to point out. The new library, our library right now, is on the corner. It is adjacent to the fabulous Miami Township Senior Center. If you are not a member, you should be. I am a member. card carrying and super proud to be. We work tremendously well together and get together on a lot of events. We have the Playhouse in the Park coming April 24th. Next month, we're having a Reds expert come to have baseball trivia. But we're really looking to have a location that's separate that can better accommodate that without having to bug here all the time. So after hours and such. So the new location will be about 7,500 square feet. The current location is just under 2,800 square feet. But the township trustees have generously allowed us to stay there for basically free since 1983. And for that, super grateful. But do you have questions?
Any questions from the public? All right, any questions from the board?
I know Forest Park has been touted as a very impressive new
Yes.
ranch. I'm supposed to go out there in the next week or two.
You should definitely.
But, you know, I'm not sure how that compares as far as size.
It will not be, that one is about 22,000 square feet, so it will not be that big. There are, if you look through there, I would say Mount Healthy's size is about 10,000 square feet, so that will be a little bit beyond. Oakley is a comparable size. Marymount Ranch is a comparable size. What I've heard over and over from our community is they love the community and they want it to feel like their neighborhood ranch. And so they don't want it to be as large to lose that neighborhood. But, so it will be larger, but not large.
Yeah, I heard they incorporated a lot of natural lighting.
Yes. And I think they're going to grab those elements just on a smaller scale. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you,
Okay.
Carrie.
Thank you.
Thank you for
The
coming up.
QR code will take you right there and you can send in all of your ideas.
Are you gonna put it on the board?
It's on the board
It
too.
is?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. All right.
Mr. McElroy was out in the hallway speaking with someone with his term was up, so he's back. We want to let him.
I appreciate that, actually, for everyone, back up. That's not relevant, that's fine. Lieutenant McElroy, County Sheriff, District 1. I'm here to present that's for last month, March 2025. Last month we had a total of 290 runs, 240 of those were dispatched, 50 of those were non-billable or self-initiated. As far as service exchange, 108 times Miami Township cars were requested outside of Miami Township. 75 times they were sent, 33 times they were disregarded, so they left. The same amount of time, 211 times county cars from outside of Miami Township they were requested for assistance. 93 of those were sent in, 118 of those were disregarded. We came 8 criminal reports, 11 non-criminal reports. Mm-hmm. 8 auto accident reports. Any questions? Reference that. I also took part in the, and thank you for the meeting with the fire department. Last week, last week, with fire chiefs, speaking about water rescues and whatnot, so we can sync up and have all the same information, be on the same page, especially with the kayak season coming up. But, any questions, I'll be glad to help. Any questions from the board?
Well, if I could just bring up, I know we've talked about block several times, and just to keep everyone apprised of the board again, the lieutenant, I've had further discussions with county administrator Lisa Webb, and I got a copy of the Anderson Township contract, which they just did. So we have fresh off the press do a legal contract, where we really would reinvent the wheel. That's been through Anderson Township's, law director, as well as county prosecutor's office and sheriff's council. You know, I'll looking in the next week or two to come with a proposal for consideration for our board. But it would be a matter of popping in this number and that number, and we really wouldn't have to do it a lot. But I particularly believe that that's a great resource to have. So just keep it everyone.
I second that. The block camera system is a great resource for officers to have, not just for, I know, some communities have looked at it as too big brother, not that. It's just for, law enforcement use only. Stolen built vehicle recovery, and if there's crime in the neighborhood, such as cars being hit, it helps to narrow down the suspect field that way. So it can be used in many different ways. It's connected to the clock system throughout the country. Any comments? So I'm all for the work. I think the sooner the better. So we go with the cameras, we determine how many. Correct. Yep. And then what about the locations? Your decision as well. Okay, that's what I want to know. But yeah, I'm good with sooner the better on that. I was hoping we would have it up and running, but since they got the new contract, we should be able to get it done, and then next meeting, or at the most, the meeting after that.
So essentially, yeah, we can dictate where they go, but I've already received input from captains and where they would hypothetically recommend some locations and a ballpark figure of how many they. But I'm trying to negotiate with county admin because there's an interest from the county itself to increase the number of cameras out in Western Hamilton County. With that in mind, trying to see if they will maybe do a match or something like that, to where, you know, we put in 3, they put in 3, we put in 5, they put in 5, whatever the situation is. So that's kind of what we're trying to negotiate at this time, and where we can exponentially have improved coverage, you know, ultimately the villages can decide if they want to participate as well. I guess we can screw up the negotiations.
That was my next question too. Are any of the villages on? Addison, Cleves, North Bend? On flock, buying the flock cameras? No.
I've talked to two representatives from 2 of the villages. One of them did have that big brother mentality and said, oh, you know, we don't want our people to, you know, to be tracked and all that other stuff. And I was trying to explain that there's no tracking, and ultimately there are already cameras in place. And the one captain pulled out and said, here, just give me a name, give me a plate number of some sort, and said, you know, here's 12 hits in the last, you know, 3 days or whatever. If you think you're not somewhere in the database already, so this idea that, you know, so much tracking. And again, if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to worry about. So this isn't to see where if someone went to McDonald's 3 times a day, you know, it's to see whether somebody you know, is doing some bad things. So.
For example, Coleraine Township was one of the ones that were under the Big Brother impression until, I could be wrong, but I believe that changed once they had the shooting at the Springdale. It's all good. So, just real quick, just a second. So has the sheriff's office approached the villages about this? We haven't, since we all signed a new contract, and it would only be beneficial to our residents as well as field residents for us to have a meeting for them to. That's how I look at it. I don't know who all in Western Township is going to approach. We, as the sheriff's office, they'll know who all in Western Township has been approached. I'm not sure. I can't give you that for sure. Who all been approached or not.
The assistant administrator, county administrator, was talking to the new chief deputy. Basically, once we can come up with a good proposal of what we think would be a good coverage for the unappropriated areas, I think that'll give them a better idea of where they think that they, how much coverage could be beneficial to the villages. So I think that we're kind of taking the lead on this, and then once they kind of see where we're at, which should happen in short order, again, within the next couple of weeks, then I think that that's the next step.
They got the major highway. That's a big deal.
Correct.
Big deal. So at least I think, yes, ma'am.
Is that the same, what you guys were speaking of at the other meetings? That's like the license plates? So what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's a license plate reader.
Okay. Check.
Picking up those bad guys. That's exactly what it's for. That's what we want.
That's good.
Actually, isn't that how you found the person who actually, or people who actually were involved in the shooting down in East Miami? So you got picked up by a block camera in the neighboring community.
What was that?
I remember it's another tool to be used, so the detectives develop a suspect, and then find a car that, the witnesses see a car. This system, you can get a partial plate and then the description of a car, as far as a sticker, and all of a sudden, it's just narrowing down the focus. And then you can find out where that car, what neighborhood, how the car was in, on East Miami, coming from that direction. Where is it now? It's another tool that helps in all the system.
Sounds great. Thank you. We appreciate it.
I'm gonna go with this thing.
Yep, thanks.
All right, administrative report, Mr. Brett.
All right, so, got quite a few items to hit, but I'm gonna try to do it quickly. Quick update on the Fort Worth water line. I have a meeting tomorrow with, Justin Hagan and Clay to talk about participation in getting that moving. I have a post time schedule from JSL. We think there's a couple weeks that could be cut out for this schedule, but if we are able to maintain this schedule, everything goes well with Cleves tomorrow. We're looking at finishing the project by November 7th of this year. So that's good news for the folks on Jordan Road. Had alert Hamilton County on the my list, but you've addressed that. I do have building security. Again, we talked last month and approved cameras for here. I have a proposal for the rest of our buildings for you to consider later on. They're actually going to be able to do some things with Pat June Park, even though there's no power there. So the proposal we have for there is 2 cameras, one for the parking lot and the playground. And I think that'll be very beneficial. Let's see. AV system still on hold. Later on tonight, if you choose to do it tonight, we can look at the International Property Maintenance Code. And I think Mr. Blandon said he might like to read through that a little more. But that's up to you guys later on. Kim continues to work with Duke to consolidate all our bills and billing, which is going to be a great thing when we get it all done. She's found some people at Duke that are very helpful, and she's been very diligent in following through on that. Another thing that she heads up is the recycling award. And we did get our notice from Hamilton County Resource that we will be getting $5,000 this year in recycling kickback money for the residents and what the township has done. So that'll help pay for our shred day, which is coming up May 3rd. And also, as long as we have notices in our newsletter, part of our newsletter gets paid for out of that money. So it's money that we put back to good work in letting people know about recycling in the community. Next on my list is electric aggregation, which is going to be confusing for people. It's probably the best way I can say it. So a couple months back, we agreed that I could enter into the electric aggregation agreement when it became available. The folks we work with at Energy Alliances who handle our aggregation program came to us and said, we don't think we can get a rate that's gonna help the residents of your township. So we're gonna suggest that you go back to Duke Energy at the base rate until we find something that is better. And keep in mind, these are people who make, the only way they get paid is off that aggregation contract. So they're good enough of a partner that they were giving up any money that they might make by just throwing a rate out there. And we're gonna let us go with what they felt like was best, even though that meant they made no money. So I think that makes them a very good partner for us. So people started getting emails and letters in the mail saying they're going back to Duke. Well, 2 weeks ago, on Monday, they called and said, hey, we have an opportunity to lump you in with Green Township, and we have a rate that's better than the wholesale rate that Duke has right now. So we quickly signed that contract, and we're able to catch that rate at
0939.
so 0.0939 for the aggregation portion. That's better than the Duke rate right now. So now not only are you getting the letters saying that you're going back to Duke, but that's going to be followed up with a letter saying we're going back to the aggregation plan and you can opt out if you wish. So it's going to be confusing, but it should save us, our residents, some money. And it's unfortunate that we had that month in between, but we will have the best rate out there that's available right now.
Who's the supplier?
It's
Uh,
done.
Still going to be Diamond. So, like I say, I think it's really important to know that they were willing to not make any money off of us because they couldn't find a rate, and when they found it, we had to take advantage of it. So make them a good partner for us.
Appreciate that explanation because it is confusing. Before we go to the next page, just don't forget, do we have a timeline for the upgraded AV system?
We're waiting on equipment, and that was equipment that we thought was going to be available immediately, and it's not. So I don't know if it's sitting on a cargo ship waiting on tariffs or what, but we were hoping to have it in before now.
Yeah.
For our next ambassadors meeting, which I'm sure we'll touch on that later. But if we don't have it in, I'm going to try and borrow something just so we get a better view.
All right, thank you.
So I was going to let Mr. Miller talk about the flood cleanup, but he had another commitment this evening. So I just want to tell everybody, if you haven't driven by the park down on East Miami, the West Park facility, what it looked like on Monday versus what it looks like today is a tremendous difference. The guys that worked there, you know what's off. They have worked through lunch. They have put in a little extra overtime, and hopefully within the next day or so, we'll have the main portion of the walking trail open. The area down by the dog park is still pretty wet. The ball fields are still very saturated. We're not sure when we're going to be able to get kids back on that, but we've already looked at ordering some dirt to replace the dirt that washed away, and so we're going to coordinate that with JJ Clark, our park manager, and our maintenance crew. And as soon as we can get out there and get it done, it'll be done, and we'll be back up and operating.
I'm sure it was reported as a claim for insurance.
Well, the last policy we had didn't cover floods. Current policy doesn't cover floods. But I talked with Mr. Blanton, he said the last time we had this type of event, FEMA kicked in.
Maybe that's what
Yeah.
I thought there was something.
They
that
kicked
got
in
money back.
75,000 last time. It took me a year to get it from them, but I got it. So
Okay.
this time around, the flooding was worse, but the debris wasn't. So it was still really bad. Our maintenance guys did a just tremendous job. I met with them a couple times down there. Jim's been down there. They did a great job. So our hopes is getting the park back open tomorrow. But I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to get on the fields and play, especially that backfield. That's where the dirt comes in because the river. You saw that current. It's like the river moved in when they kept on moving. washed a lot of the dirt off that backfield back there, so. They get that fixed with this new dirt we got coming and we get the park back open, so it's gonna.
So they've filled 4 dumpsters full of debris, and the majority of that was hand raked and hand picked up. That's a lot to do in a 3-day period. So,
Yeah, they really they really did great, so.
our hats off to them.
Yes.
Next up, this is somewhat new, but if you recall last year, we talked about changing insurance carriers. And then we put a hold on that at the very last minute. I had met about 3 weeks ago with a representative from One Digital. They provide services to West Delhi and Green Townships on the west side. And both Green and Delhi are happy with them. They recommended them. And interestingly enough, because I know Tim understands this better than me, so if I get confused on this, feel free to correct me. But because our current benefit administration folks, broker, we weren't real pleased with what happened last year with them. So one of the things that I would like for us to do is to switch over to One Digital for that service. Because we're less than 100 employees on our health plan, the cost would remain the same. Nest benefits to our current broker, and we would just simply be signing over and putting them in charge of our program. This won't be a change in benefits, won't be a change in anything other than the person that we contact for service. So as we move forward, we want to make sure that our employees are getting the best for their dollar that we spend on healthcare. So we're going to look at that plan, and if there's an opportunity to get something better for them, we'll present that later on in the year. But our experience has kind of been that we need someone who's going to work closer with us and continue to help us grow. And I feel it's going to be in our best interest to make that move. Again, just so everybody knows, no change in anything other than who we contact. It's Township. So the benefits don't change, the insurance policy doesn't change, rider doesn't change. If we come up with something to do that later on, then we'll take that to the employees and discuss it with them, because we just want to make sure that we get the most for them.
So, for the record, change, fairly simple, not irreversible either, if they make the job that they do, they'll break back out, so.
They've told us that if we're not happy with them, they will help us change back or to someone different.
Yeah, it's paperwork.
We have not been happy with the other.
Yeah, I don't know if you're looking right now for that, recommendation.
We need them.
Now or later on in the new business, if you want to do it now, that's fine.
I'll make a motion to move that, for the digital.
Second?
All right, Mr. Volrick?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Yeah, sometimes, especially when we have everything going on, like the floods that we had, this is a time when some of the people who work in the background, I don't think, get the acknowledgement that we need to. And Sissy Galbraith, who works as our fire department admin person, as well as our maintenance and cemetery, she has done a tremendous job, I think, in working cooperatively with us in the administration office and making the flow of information smooth and organized. And she's been out of her way on her own to develop some forms and things to help us streamline things. And I just think that every now and then we need to remember the people that make it easy for all of us to do our jobs. And I just wanted to acknowledge her work because she's been doing a great job. One of the tedious things that she does is she and Cindy and Kim all work together on the Ohio Police and Fire contributions. And believe me, that can be tedious. Is the nicest way I can say it. And she's, I think, been very helpful with Cindy with that. So just a little acknowledgement for the work she does. So, some good news, the final bill for the mid-70, the repairs to that are complete. We came in about $19,000 less than what our worst case scenario was, so, the total bill to repair that ended up just over $60,000. So it was a lot of money, but a valuable piece of equipment. And so I was pleased that they were able to do that under our worst case estimate. And if you want to, you approved it last year. So I don't know if you'd like to talk about the audit that started.
Yeah, Jim called me yesterday with our 23 and 24 audit will be happening. I got a list. So Kim and I will go through the list. We'll get them and just another.
So,
Like I said, I love audits because they teach you new things, or there's new policies, we need to do this, or maybe do it this way. So they don't bother me at all. And I know you feel the same way. So it's a good thing.
I actually look forward to it because it helps us do our job better as fiscal officers. So, and one of the things that, I don't know if you've ever done a pre-audit conference before.
We have.
And I'm just thinking, because Tim's new, if you want to talk with the auditor and find out what this is all about, we can set up a Zoom call or a conference call, and you can feel free to ask them questions, talk about what the audit means to the township and things like that. So if anyone would be interested in that, just let me know.
I thought so. The last time we had, I thought we had that at the end.
Yeah, there's a pre and a post.
Yeah, and we came in, we met, and we went over it.
But you can do a pre, you don't have to do a pre, if the board says no.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, it's up to you guys, but it wouldn't hurt that you guys hear what they do, what they do.
I don't have recall. We have one video years, but I don't recall the three.
I don't think we did it the last, yeah, 2 years ago, I don't think we did it.
Before COVID, everything's pre and post COVID. Before COVID, they did all those in person. Now we can do it by Zoom, and it's just an informational meeting for you guys, so it doesn't have to be a public meeting, because you're not going to be discussing anything that's public business. You're just going to be hearing what they do.
It's really what they do, right?
So if you're interested in that, you guys can just let me know, and we'll set that up.
So what's the general timeline?
With the audit?
Yes.
This group will be, it's Perry Associates, they'll be fast. If it was a state, it would probably take a year or two.
They would like to have this audit complete by the end of May, is what they told me.
And they probably will. They did the last one, very thorough, very depth.
But they will keep sending copy for the next
And Kim,
month. Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
That's all I have.
That sounds good. All right, let's go to department reports, fire department, Chief Shady.
Good evening, I'm Chairman and Fire Chief. For the month of March, we responded to 169 calls for service. Did three pre-plans throughout the Miami County and North Bend. Conducted 141 hours of training between both fire and EMS. Fire training was 82 hours, EMS was 39 hours. We had 78 overlapping incidents, so 46% of our calls, we had more than one station out at the same time. March 7th, we had a exterior or a detached garage fire up on Nebo. We conducted live fire training with Whitewater and Lawrenceburg at Ivy Tech there. In Lawrenceburg, we get ready to partner with Green Township, Delhi, and Coleraine in first part of May. So joint fire training with them as well. All of our stop and bleed trainers have been certified. CPR and ALS training programs are now up and running. We've done a couple of those.
I'm working, to get that on our township website, so if somebody wanted to sign up, they could do it from the website. We partnered with Three Rivers Nursing Facility to, do some respiratory therapy training. Some of those, patients at the nursing home have some really severe respiratory problems that might be a little bit above what we're used to with vents and all that kind of stuff. So we partnered with them, since the folks over there for that training. The 3 car seat installs, some cancer support training. The part 3 of the Ohio Fire Academy Leadership Series was completed. And the Ohio Fire Academy, we got their emergency driving simulator. That was a big red trailer out back for winter. So all of our members went through there for our annual walk through the IS training. So busy one. Any questions?
Man, out of all those runs, how many were just active?
Uh,
Yeah, driving simulator. Um, that's something we do regularly. It says annual.
yeah, anyway.
I know, driving on some of our roads, pretty tight. Yeah. So, appreciate you to stay on.
Yeah, it's a training that the Ohio Fire Academy provides to us for free. We request it, we get it on the calendar sometimes a year out, and bring it down, they say the stuff is down. All of our groups go through it, and it's part of their annual driving.
And I know Carrie wanted to say something, but my kids were thrilled that you guys delivered these. So, pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like, all right, well, while we got you up there.
Yeah.
I see on the agenda tonight, with hiring Tyler Filter as part-time firefighter.
Yeah.
EMT. We'll take care of that now. I'll make a motion to hire, Tyler Filter as part-time firefighter. I will second
Obviously, you're right.
Yeah, so he was recommended by 2 of our instructors who work for us, who also instruct for Scarlet Oaks. He was recommended by both of them. They caught their fire class and everything, so yeah, very highly recommended. Thank you.
Mr. Boran?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Chief. All right, Senior Center, Mrs. Herbert.
Month of March. We had Karen May, perform. She's a member of the Cincinnati Caledonian, I got it right, Caledonian Pipes and Drums Band. And she came and played bagpipes for it. She came and heard, attire and played many songs on her bagpipes. But I don't know if you've heard of the person before live. Beautiful. It's so loud. I don't know if you heard them at the library. Did you? So loud. So anyway, it was a wonderful performance, and hopefully she'll come back again. We had students from the school come for a couple of days to offer tech help for our seniors. So if they had questions on the computer or their phones, tablets, or whatever, the students came and helped them answer their questions. And it's good for them because they get service hours and stuff that they need. So it's kind of a win-win for both of us. We have our second tax day for seniors. AARP comes a couple days and they offer free tax help. It's located here, and Gary's always a big help set up, and I appreciate that. And of course, we'll be back next year. Our monthly outing was to Ohio Valley Antique Mall and lunch at the historic Century Inn. I want to say a big thanks to Roni's. They supply lunch for my Bunko players one day. It's very nice. We'll do that again. And Carrie, I know, touched on it. Next week, the Playhouse in the Park is coming to do a performance, Alice in the 100 Acre Woods, at 4 o'clock. So, I'm sorry?
What day?
The 24th, next week, 4 o'clock.
So Thursday.
Thursday night, yeah. So, yeah, and that was actually originally scheduled for the 28th, and they had to cancel, so this is the rescheduled date, so. And then last, we have a group of seniors leaving on May 4th to go to Atlantic City and Cape May and Philadelphia. That's it.
Any questions? Right, any questions from the board? So if someone wants to join, what do they need to do?
They just come on out to the senior center. There's just a little bit of information to take from them. Just membership fee is very, very, very reasonable. If you're a member, or if you live in the township, it's $5 a year. Outside the township, it's $7.50. So yeah, just come down, sign them up, and they'll get a monthly newsletter in the mail. That says all of our activities that we had planned for the month. Quite simple.
Great, sounds great.
I can vouch they have a very good time. They're very noisy and rocking, lots of giggling.
Very disruptive.
All right, maintenance department, Mr. Miller, he's excused tonight. Jim, do you want to go over that real quick?
Yeah, this is called pre-flood things they were doing. So we, Mr. Miller and well, I guess just so far, we met with Strasser again after you approved the overall contract amount last meeting. And we're gonna, actually, Mr. Bland and I are gonna be meeting with Wayne and the Strasser representative to discuss that a little further this Friday. They were busy down at West Park. They had the first grass cutting of the year. We had trouble with the scoreboard down there not working right with the wireless transmitter. So we bought a piece of control wire, and it was really fairly inexpensive, and the maintenance folks ran it out to the scoreboard. The scoreboard's working better than ever. All we have to do is get it to dry out now. They replaced the light on the flagpole. So in anticipation of the flood, they moved everything they could to the highest level. And so it kept us from losing portable toilets and soccer goals and things. So a little pre-planning there went a long way. Maintenance and repairs, they worked around the shop, getting things ready for mowing season. Station 68, they helped clean out the gutters and sealed between the brick and the metal in a couple places on the building. And we had an issue with the septic system. We got Kraus Excavating in to fix that. Station 69, we also had a broken septic line. It was that kind of year. And they had to pump out the holding tank a couple times, and we're working on that. You might want to.
Yeah, so there's evidently an issue down at 69. I think they're looking at, what the tank was taking on some maybe groundwater. We're not really sure where it's coming from at this point in time. When that station was built, evidently they used the original tank that was in there. Jim reached out to the EPA now to see if that tank is actually acceptable. We have some repairs there with this water coming on. They got to pump out. I think you guys are going to be running some water for the gutters.
So we did run some water for the gutters. This is no take up. So it's got to be coming from underground. Somewhere either there's a crack in the wall somewhere. We don't know where it's coming from. I think Wayne's got something in camera. We take a look at there.
Stay tuned. I think there's a pretty good sized repair there that's going to be done.
If we need to contact any of the original contractors,
I actually talked with the original project manager. He's no longer with the company, but he gave me a couple of contacts there. Not sure if there's any warranty available for that, but we're going to talk with them, see what we can.
And I think really at this point, so the tank that's in there, it's not really the one that's supposed to be in there, correct?
That's what it appears to.
Well, that's the thing. If it's not the tank, heck with the warranty. If there's no warranty, they didn't do the job correctly. That's the thing.
And
So that's what we need to follow up on, why that tank wasn't installed like it should have been.
And if we approved using that tank, who approved it and why? Is the next question, so.
I think there's a lot of unanswered questions for you guys are digging into it.
Go ahead, Mr. Ray.
Yep. Yep. Let's see. We have a couple bids later on in the night for the sidewalks that are cracked over the hump around this building. So, one of those areas is back where the food service people come in, and Mr. Miller raised a temporary ramp there because people were pushing their carts in, and I understand that one of the caterers lost a whole cart full of food for an event because they hit the lip and had a crash. You know, the senior center is starting to show its age a little bit, which is appropriate for senior center. But the sink and the faucets, hey, you know, I'm older than the building. The sink and the faucets there were just all burdened up with lime, and we're just past buying parts for it. So Wayne went in and changed those himself, so we didn't have to farm that out. We got a really nice compliment from someone who has a loved one at Maple Grove Cemetery about how good the cemetery is looking this spring, and they have done a lot of work over there, and so another hats off to them for a good job, especially with the way the weather's been. And that sums up what they were up to before the flood.
All right. All right, events, facility rentals, Ms. Rivers.
Good evening. So in March, we did 23 events, tons of HOA meetings, and it was really utilized by people from across our area. We had 3 schools or districts that held events here. Visitation, Three Rivers, and Oak Hills were all in our buildings in the month of March. I had already reported last month on the success of the train display. I worked with the train people, and we do have it booked for 2026. We decided to move it to April because Easter is so early next year. So we'll have our large Easter event in March and then the large train event in April. Speaking of Easter, our Easter extravaganza was wildly successful. We stopped count at 500 guests. Huge thank you to the fire department, to Chief and Travis King for organizing, bringing in our VIP, our very important bunny. And he rode in on the fire truck, and you just heard the kids. It just kind of started at the beginning of the line and went all the way around the field as soon as they all saw him. And our bunny is very good friends with Brian Seibert, who works over in the community center. And I just can't say enough good. He's a senior at Taylor, and he was very good friends with the Grinch at Christmas, and then very good friends with the Easter Bunny this time. And he's just phenomenal, so patient. And when I texted him to ask if he knew the Easter Bunny and would bring it, he said, "Do I have a choice?" So he's wonderful. So thank you to Brian. Thank you to the fire department for all of their help. Huge thank you to all of the sponsors. Sullivan's, Lynn's Great Wall, Baker Insurance, Gilday, Rocco Group, and Regina Bakery. We had sponsorships that totaled $850. That's huge. Upcoming events, Drug Take Back Day. That will be a drive-through event that will happen in the fire bays at Station 70 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. No one has to get out of their car. They'll drive through. They'll drop off their prescription drugs to Hamilton County Sheriff to take care of. Shred Day will be May 3rd from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the community center parking lot. A reminder to stay in your car. We will unload all the shred. No plastic bags, no metal, no phones, no chargers, no bound books. And it has to be all residential shred, no businesses. Had a problem last year with a couple of small businesses wanting to bring a busload of things to us. So that's it. Things are moving along. Happy Easter to everyone.
Any questions? Any questions from the board?
As usual, thank you. Great job.
Thank you. All right, Park, Mr. Clark, he's excused. JJ's been down there he was down there all day today with maintenance. He was down there yesterday with them. And prior to that, he's been doing all kinds of work on the field, trying to get prepared for baseball season, and then the flood came, he's been down there helping with all sorts. All right, Mr. Brett, you want to go to, new business?
Yes, so we talked last month about, because of the vandalism of the other buildings and actually here at this facility, about moving up the timeline to install the new cameras in the other buildings. So we were able to get the local installer to come out and get us a proposal. So the total cost for cameras and installation at the three firehouses, the Patchogue Park, the West Park, Senior Center, and Town Hall, totals up to $80,833, big amount, but we can finance that over 5 years with them for $17,015 a year. We choose to do that for 53 cents, or we can. We'll be paying the two installations separate from the equipment. So the equipment side is $56,437, and the installation side is $24,656. The installation is a little higher because some of the buildings don't have cameras, but they're able to reuse a lot of the cabling here. But while it's a big number, it's probably will end up pay for itself with what we've seen in vandalism and things. And if you haven't been by the new park, the Patchogue Memorial Park, that's going to be a beautiful facility. We'll have a camera down there that will be solar operated because we don't have power there. And we actually have two, one on the parking lot, one on the playground. And that's going to be a really nice facility. We're pretty close to being done with that. We've still got some, if the weather would quit raining, they could get in, do their final grading and seeding. And we'll be ready for a grand opening here
So we
soon.
get zero interest, is that correct?
It's not quite zero interest because they can do the camera end of it, but they can't do that much of the installation because of all the new wiring. So it's close to zero, it's about 1.3%.
But yeah, it's an extra, if we don't pay it, it's an extra 5,000.
So what's the
Total cost for everything is $80,883.03.
any discussion? Any discussion? Yeah, I try to put these things in, I know there's been some vandalism down the one firehouses.
Yeah.
What we get these are prosecuted. So this will get us up to speed, correct?
This will get us cameras at every place that we have right now. And they'll all be new, they'll all be tied into one system. So one of the advantages, the firehouses will be able to, the fire chief will be able to see everything. All his firehouses. Each firehouse can see whatever he chooses to let them see. So, for instance, when somebody was breaking into the firemen's cars, we didn't have a camera on that side of the building. I don't know if that happened after you got here before. So,
I thought we had a camera there, it was just old and we couldn't. see anything.
visibility was terrible.
Yeah, we had a camera.
Yeah.
You could see body, but you could not see detail.
so the other thing with these cameras, to kind of go back to the flock camera proposal, we can choose to allow the sheriff's office to have access to some of these cameras 24 hours a day. If we choose not to allow them to have them full time, in case of an emergency with literally the click of the mouse on your computer, we can allow them access to any number of the cameras. So, for instance, if there's an incident at the senior center, we can go on, click it, let them have access to that while they're responding. The officers responding can see what's going on inside the building. So, and I'm not
That's
sure.
real time, but you can also do secondary time where if an incident occurs and we need to share a certain portion of footage, with the sheriff's department, you can isolate that and send that over.
The whole thing, I remember you saying that.
And you can do it really quick.
And the other thing, Tim's patiently sat through and, hours of videotape looking for those things, and we'll be able to do that much quicker. And on the flock end of things, Verkada is coming out with a camera that is usable with the flock system. So we might already be able to work that in the future, so maybe save some money there.
What is the timeline for installation, getting all this up?
Right now, I can say probably 2.5 months, because unfortunately, Corey dipped in right ahead of us. So I told him that Corey wouldn't mind waiting till we got ours done, but the administrator over Corey didn't pay attention to that. So
What kind of warranty, or is it like, we have a camera to do bad,
it's a good one.
which they do for
We
life
don't charge.
Insurance.
And
10
they,
years.
and they upgrade the equipment as upgrades become available. So let's say in 2 years, they come up with a better version of that camera, they switch it.
But no,
So no cost, it's part of the 10-year warranty that we have, or 5-year, or whatever. we have.
Same way with the software, which is where a lot of places really get you. A matter of fact, we approved some upgrades to computers because our computers weren't capable of running the Microsoft 11.
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess I view this, so people put information out that Eastern Hamilton County has tons of flock cameras, and Western doesn't. Well, you know, we don't think criminals are smart, but they are smart. They know that. So it's a deterrent when we can say, you know what, we've added X number of cameras. The same way with this. Yeah, you can go back after the fact, but I'd rather it be a deterrent and just have the word out there, you know what? We have cameras, we have eyes and ears, and, you know, on our fire stations and everywhere else. And, you know, folks, that want to come and vandalize and, you know, do whatever, well, we're gonna get out there, you know, don't even attempt it. So
No,
I see this as a
Another
deterrent.
cell feature to that too, that you mentioned that, is that they have a motion sensitivity alert. So if, for example, at the park, you know, we wouldn't normally have staff around like at a firehouse or something such as that, you can build in an alert. And if there's motion happening, it will alert somebody, which is kind of cool.
Again, we're doing it.
Sounds good.
And you know, just a couple years ago, I think that what we think with a high school graduation type prank, someone did a tremendous amount of damage to the ball field down at Cleves, and just out, you know, spinning around, and it took a lot of money and time to fix that. So, and they thought they knew who it was, they had no proof, you know, other than they had a really muddy truck at school the next day. But with these cameras, if somebody does that, and you know, our maintenance crew takes great pride in JJ and our ball fields. If somebody goes down there and does something like that, we'll be able to track them and help the sheriff in finding them.
All right, do I have a motion from the board?
Can I ask one question?
Go ahead, sir.
Is 5 years on the equipment for free
Yeah,
and then the installation?
yeah, and that's,
So if we paid the installation, we'd save $5,000.
no, we have to pay the whole thing. They lumped it into one financing thing, but we'd have to pay the entire thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and quite honestly, the other thing this does is it gives us 5 years, that's the contract period we have with them. So at the end of that 5-year period, that part will be up and we can make a decision on whether we want to stay with them or move to a different system.
Okay, we'll see if we have a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a contract with Verkada for $8,883.03 for a term of 60 months.
Yeah, I'll second that motion with, using that figure 17,015.53.
Or we want to do, you guys want to do it
Well,
for 5 years?
You want, they said it was the 5 What do you?
It's like 5,000, but they
Let's
were
just
earning
go
about
with-
4%. Do it over the 5 years.
Yeah,
I'm fine
that's
with
what I
that.
want to do.
Is that what you're?
We're gonna make money on our money that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
So
Obviously,
we'll
there'll be
just
that little
approve
bit
it,
of
and
interest.
then we can pay it, but we don't have to approve that. Just go ahead with your motion.
Okay.
Was there a second?
All right, Mr. Volrath?
Yeah.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Brett?
That's all I had under old business. So moving on to what we did the other Hamilton County. When Mr. Crossley was here, so, I got this from Alex kind of late, the, resolution for the, international property code maintenance. And when Mr. Bland just mentioned he'd like to do a little more looking into that before we actually act on that.
I would feel better about tabling that. There's a lot to that. There's a lot of things that I think.
I would like to table it also. There's questions, more questions we need to answer, and if we want to go that route, with a lot more questions besides that, so we'll just table it.
That's all right. You took care of hiring, our fire EMT filter, so, on your agenda, I had, asked for approval for hiring a couple of part-time summer help people. Been talking with Mr. Blaze and Mr. Miller about that. We had originally thought about starting off with approval for up to 3 people at 29 hours a week, and we're going to revise that, and we'd like to actually start with up to 2 people at 20 hours a week, and see if we can keep up with the grass and things based on that number, and then if we need more, we'll come back and add another person if we need to. The important thing is we keep them under 29 hours a week so that they don't fall into the qualifying for benefits and unemployment.
All right, any discussion? I'll go ahead and make a motion that we hire 2 part-time summer help for this year only in 2025 for the maintenance department, at 20 hours a week each.
Second.
All right, Mr. Volrath?
Yes.
Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
We can,
So I mentioned during my report earlier, the concrete that's fallen and or pulled away from the building and cracked. I'm really kind of concerned about the water, especially getting against our foundation in that area. So Mr. Miller got 2 bids. The first bid was from Kane Contractors. Wasn't really well spelled out, but his total was $6,610, and didn't really spell out what he was going to do for that. Complete Contractors gave us a more detailed bid of $7,346.20. Mr. Miller, I just feel like having the detailed bid, spelling out what we're doing is worth a little bit of extra money. And Complete Contractors have done work for us in the past. We're very satisfied with their work. So I would recommend that.
all right, any discussion from the board? All right, I'll make a motion that we go with Complete Contractors at $7,346.20.
I will second.
Mr. Volrath? Mr. Blanton?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes, and I had worked with Mr. Miller on this as well, and I think this was a, much needed up here in this space so far. I think that's a good thing.
All right, last thing on our agenda for this evening. As you know, we've, when I say we, I really mean Tim, has revamped our transient vendor program, and we had Alex upgrade the resolution from 1997 to spell out a little more what we could do with that. So we have before you resolution 2025-07, resolution amending resolution number 1997-05 regarding transient vendors. And we actually go into spelling out what they can do, the hours and things that they can be there. We're also also are recommending in that resolution that we raise the fee from $65 to $150 for the vendors. That will include a name tag that they will get from us with their picture on it and an approval. So if someone shows up at a resident store and they don't have that, they know that they were supposed to be out testing it.
Any discussion from the board?
No.
Great. All right, do I have a motion for resolution 2025-07?
I will make that motion to adopt resolution number 2025-07.
I will second. Thank you, Ms. Day, for all your work.
Mr. Mulrandom, Mr. Blanton,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
Oh, did we want to discuss the summer schedule this month, or did we want to wait till next month on that?
No, we want to discuss, well, I can bring it up in a minute. Let's just go ahead and finish up with what you have.
All right, that's actually all I got.
Okay. All right, we'll have, anything else from the public before we go to the board?
How about the gas resolution? Gas aggregation.
We just went over.
Well, that was electric. We just went over gas. It's been in place for probably a year.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Morrell?
Okay, if I understood Jim correctly, the water main on George is a go, and it could possibly be completed by the end of November.
Providing the village police is willing to work with us on that project.
So has the board discussed at all, are we moving forward with the bulk bill station?
We are
or
still
we
going
scrapping it?
We are still going to do something, but if things go well tomorrow, I'm going to ask for a tap permit for the park property, but we won't be spending the money on the expensive system. It'll be a scaled down version so that the folks that are there now have access, but it's not something once we get the water line up there that I think we're going to need to the community. So I'd rather do it and spend a lot less money on that. That's going to be my recommendation. I'm assuming things will go well tomorrow.
I'm very optimistic also. We're prepared to move forward. All on the township part, we're prepared to pay for it. We've already got engineering plans. We're prepared after a hopefully tomorrow's meeting here as well. We're prepared to move forward like I told you at the last meeting. And that's unanimous by the board.
What the point I'm getting at is, I brought it up last month. I don't know if it was discussed at all or just forgot about. Not moving forward with the bulk fill station and trying to provide these people with water for 6 or 7 or 8 months and trying to save anywhere from 50,000 and up. Was that discussed at all, or was it just?
It was, and the problem is I don't have some place for them to get water, which is what they want. And in talking with other areas and our legal counsel, we can't really go out and buy water for people, because if we do that, then we open ourselves up to supplying water for anyone who would ask. So I can't just give it to them, not give it to someone else. And if someone's on city water and they say, well, I can't afford my water bill and I need water too, then we kind of open ourselves up to an area that we don't want to get into.
And I understand that. But if you've got access to water in front of your house, that's your option to tap it. If you don't have a water line, you have no option. I don't think anyone should come forward and ask us to pay for their water if they've got the opportunity to purchase or have it tapped. We're just trying to save the township a substantial amount of money, because I don't think we have a concrete figure on what this tap is going to cost. We are in a ballpark figure, and we're not even sure where we're going to put it. And when we put it, I understood it was going to be in the future park. And then is that going to be a problem for whoever to come fill where it's going to be placed at the park for safety reasons with trucks coming in and out?
So we've talked with our engineer on that, and we feel like if we had to put a permanent facility in, we can do it safely where we put it. We also are going to need a tap for that park anyway, so if we can, tap in, get a temporary facility, and this is just kind of where I'm at right now. And these guys haven't even heard all this. But if we can get a temporary facility in at a low cost that they can get water from, then take advantage of that tap for the park when we move forward and take that out once the water line's in. I think it works best for everybody and it's going to be our best scenario to.
Okay, I understand. If you could utilize that later for the park, it does make
Yeah,
a lot of sense.
yeah, and it'll be cheaper to do it from that tap than to run it from the existing part all the way down to the other end.
But we are planning on moving forward because I don't even see those residents come in here anymore. I don't know if it's out of disgust
No, I
or
talked with
you
Mr.
talk
Oates.
on.
We kept in contact and he actually asked me to let him know how my meeting tomorrow goes.
So we are moving forward though, and they will have the option to tap in.
I agree with that. The problem I'm saying is, why are we putting a fill station in for $50,000 to $80,000 when this main's gonna be in 6 months?
I totally agree with you. So we'll see how tomorrow goes and then we'll make that decision.
Actually, the easiest thing to do was one of their suggestions early on, was just to allow them to fill up the new fire station on East Miami. But the EPA just has no desire to see, even if we put a black flow prevention device on, they have no desire to see people getting potable water out of the fire hydrant. So to me, it's not much difference, but
Gotcha. Okay. That answers the question. Thank you.
All right, let's move it up. All right, Mr. Robertson.
I would just like to, just bring up, the levy in that I've talked to a lot of folks, I'm sure we're all talking to a lot of folks about it. And, I still think that as much effort as we've done, that the biggest hurdle I hear recently is not understanding that the 3.5 is that, just a few months ago, they were paying the 3.5.
Right.
And they are still looking at this as a 4.5 increase in their minds. And so, to the extent, I have started to say, this is a 1 mil levy. And then they say, well, what do you mean? I thought it was 4.5. And that gives you the opportunity to say, this is a 1 mil levy. Again, the 3.5 was previously, we were paying that. Because just having it be sold as a 4.5, it just gives so much of an opportunity for them to mislead or misunderstand. So, I'm going to work with Mr. Brett, and we can continue to try to educate folks through our website, through social media, through other things. I know all of us are doing whatever we can to do that, but just bringing it up for discussion so that if you're out there talking to fellow residents and things, that has served me well in my discussions to say it's a 1 mil, and it kind of gives them wait a minute, but then it gives you that opportunity. So
I think the newsletter, people I've talked to answered the majority of all of the questions. I think the newsletter was wonderful information that they're going to put together with that. So,
but no, I think
I've got great feedback talking to residents since that newsletter's been out.
I agree. I think I feel good about what we've done. But I know even in the Easter egg, there's some feedback that I received from a few folks that overheard conversations. And there's only so much we can do for them. I just thought I'd bring that up.
No, that's all right. Mr. Boren. Ms. Ozier?
I want to thank Carrie for letting me bring the kids. I know it has nothing to do with it, but thanking her for letting the kids come down. And I'll tell you, Kim and Sissy are wonderful. We come up here about once a month, bringing my kids up here, and they always have projects and, and so thank you all for that. we talked about the audit. And then the other thing is we did receive our first half taxes, the final, so that's in there. So I'll have to work on TIF, paying the school districts their TIF part, but yeah, that's all been. And then we'll keep you updated on the audit and go from there.
Always nice to get that first, yeah, payment.
It is, I know, it's like it's your own money, it's not.
I just got a couple of things, like our maintenance department, to reiterate what Jim said, they did a great, I think, just tremendous job on the park. JJ did a great job getting the park ready, with along with Andy Messer from Rivers Athletic Association president. He helps out down there a lot. But our maintenance department went, I believe, above and beyond after this flood. So they just really did a great job. So I just wanted to put that on the record. Wayne, every single one of them. Wayne gave me great updates. He sent me pictures, kept us, Jim and I both updated what they were doing on a daily basis. And they really did a great job down there. They do a great job for the township, and we're lucky we have them. The other thing I want to bring for discussion, I'm going to make a motion that we do away with the first meeting of the month for June, July, August, and September. We'll go back to 2 meetings a month for the rest of the year after that. But any discussion about that before I make a motion?
Well, traditionally, I think we've always kept September.
What can we do? You
We've typically just done June, July, August, I believe is kind of the summer.
We can include September. We can always call a special meeting if we need to call a special meeting. I mean, if you feel like we need to leave out September, I will do whatever you need. What we can do on August? And we probably have September back. All right, I'll make.
What are we doing, June, July, and August?
Yeah, we've already made a motion.
Okay.
So we'll make a motion that we will not have our first Wednesday meeting of the month, June, July, and August of 2025. Then we will resume the first meeting in 2025, and beginning of the first Wednesday of the month in September. Second.
All right, Mr. Vory, Mr. Blanton,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.
All right, any more discussion from the board? All right, any more discussion from the public?
I'd like to just say one thing when it comes to the levy. I asked Matt today, if I understood, we had 269 calls for the last month, 116 of them were EMS only. If this levy doesn't go through, we are currently right now running 3 ambulances. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
So we had 116 runs with 3 units, correct?
Yes.
How many units are we gonna lose if this levy fails? EMS, as
Well,
far as vehicles, I mean. Are we down to 1 ambulance, 2 ambulances?
if it fails in May and the board doesn't put it back on in November, but yeah, we're down to 1 firehouse.
But we gotta be realistic about this. We can't keep beating it around the bush and say 1 mil, 3 mil. Reach out to the public and say, hey, guys, we're gonna have 1 firehouse, not 3, not 3 ambulances, 1. You take 116 runs with 1 ambulance. That's pretty thin. That's real thin.
And if it fails.
And I bet the average ambulance run,
Well, Mr. Williams.
the average ambulance run is maybe an hour and a half.
90, I did the math, 90 something minutes.
There you go. So our township is going to suffer. And I don't think the residents really get it, but I don't think we're really selling it in a right manner. Let's be frank about it. Let's quit saying we need 1 mil or not 4.5 mils, 3.5 or we're on it or whatever. Guys, the firehouses is gonna close. So how do you feel about that? And that's exactly how I sell it when I go out to dinner with people in this township. And you know what you get? What? They can't close a $6 million firehouse. They just built it. Oh, lonely. We're gonna have to heat it and put the lights on it and keep our security cameras on it, but nobody's gonna be in it. So it's still gonna cost you money. We gotta sell the roses like the roses smell and quit beating around the bush. we are in trouble here if this doesn't pass, safety wise.
Agreed.
And that's exactly how I feel about it.
Mr. Williams?
Yeah, so if it fails, we'll be able to supply the buildings.
Chief?
Because you have both firehouse.
I think that's a conversation that we'll deal with. What you,
And just so you know, this levy is actually way cheaper than the 6.5.
which is,
That's another thing. for these levies.
reality is contracts are written, but we also, there's language in the contract for if this levy fails, that we may have to renegotiate all that stuff.
Is it too bold to put on these electronic boards on these firehouses? Vote for the levy or this firehouse may close? Are we allowed to scare people?
We're not allowed.
Not allowed?
We're not allowed to say that, terminology. We're not allowed to do anything to promote it.
You can't say vote, you can't only give information.
That
And
is
we can
information.
You can't
We
say,
could say,
you gotta vote.
we could say if levy fails, we'll have to close warehouses.
We can,
I believe we can say that.
we can say that, but we can't say,
We can't promote it.
right.
The union.
They are,
Duty.
Yeah, I saw that.
They are,
And they are doing that.
and I think between the part-time folks here and the full-time folks that, you know, we have door hangers that, are going around, and the chief told me today that every community has been covered, by somebody there. They have a commitment to walk those houses and, you know, get that information out, and someone stops and wants to know, they have the information for them, which is tremendous. I think it's a, you know, a big commitment from our firefighters. And I know the chief took off part of a day and did that himself, so.
And Eric, just to follow up with that, we're going around door to door for all the registered voters. We have these door hangers, right, and that's available. We do talk to them. And just hearing from the folks that come back to the firehouse, I mean, it's really our jobs, right? So you think that they're not being as honest as they can when it comes to them being able to provide for their family. They're having those hard conversations with folks. If that opportunity comes up, for sure. I mean, they're not just going out and saying that stuff. Most of everything that I've heard has been very positive. Even when folks are asking questions, it's in a positive kind of tenure. But they're being very direct with them. Hey, if this doesn't pass in May and then in November, we're down to one firehouse. Like, they are telling our community that too. When they're going door to door, if the conversation comes up, it's not like they're telling everyone.
Okay, so your firefighters go door to door on their own time?
Yes.
They have to.
I get that. How many people do you honestly think they're reaching a week? But it's all volunteer, am I right?
Yeah, so, we ordered, 3,000 of the door hangers, and we're almost out of those. We ordered some more, so we've at least done almost that many.
How many people do you think actually vote when we vote up to percent wise that we got in the town?
I don't know if that is in a May election.
Yeah, the primary, I think it's less, than 30%.
I would say so.
That's what I would think too. I think it's
I actually have that number available.
I'm just curious what percentage we need to actually reach, because not everybody votes. But, I mean, I'm doing everything I know I personally can to beat this in, and I'm having a hard time.
One of the
And
things.
then I go, well, the firehouse are gonna close it. We can't do that. They can't do that. That's people, they feel they can't close firehouses. And I really, I hope we can get this through, and believe me, I'm pushing, I'm here, I'm listening, but I don't know if, I think we're doing better, but I don't know if we've reached the goal yet, to get this through, we gotta push hard.
One of the things that these door hangers, we got the registered voter list, and that shows us who's voted when. So they're targeting people who vote in primaries, have voted, in the last couple elections, because as we all know, the last election in November was probably skewed with people for or against a presidential candidate. So if they only voted then, chances of them coming back is slim. So we're concentrating on the people who vote every primary, every election. So we're making sure that we get to the people that are going to come out and support us.
Okay, thanks, guys, I appreciate it.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Walrick. Mr. Blanchard.
Yes.
Mr. Robinson.
Yes.